Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Working Trader, where we look at the EUR USD and GBPUSD and come up with trade ideas for the day, if there are any. So let's jump right into Forex Factory and let's see what we have. So today's a Monday, and we do not have any high impact news. So let's jump straight to the charts and see what we can expect. So looking at EUR USD, so this is what we're saying. We are in a bearish trend on the daily, and this is what we've been expecting. So as we see, that price has been pushing to the downside, and then we have had a break of structure, and we say that after every break of structure we do expect price to have some kind of pullback, and then so we've had some kind of pullback. Although the structure has not changed, we're still heavily bearish. So on the daily, we are bullish, and then we've been seeing price pushing to the downside. We're expecting price to continue bullish. However, after mitigated these areas, we see that price started to push lower, and then now we have swept this low, mitigated this area of demand, which is at the extreme, and so we can expect a bit of a reaction from there. And if price is to continue with the bullish trend, then this could be the area, or around these areas would be where we expect price to continue going bullish. However, it is likely that it can still continue lower to these areas as well, So let's look at EU and go on the 4H. So our swing range on the 4H is bearish, similar to the internal structure on the daily. So we have our swing range which is bearish. We've had a break of structure. We did mitigate this area of demand right here, which I'd marked, and we've had a very decent reaction, not the strongest, but we've had some kind of reaction, and who knows, this could be the start of the pullback from this point onwards. But the important thing is we had a reaction. So looking at our 15-minute, where we look at our intraday for our trade ideas, so our 15-minute, the swing is bearish. So this was our last break of structure. We mitigated into this extreme demand that is nested within this 4-hour demand, and then from that point we see prices been pushing up. Internally we have broken structure, so we do have this significant push up. However, because this is an internal range, price could just have pushed up just to mitigate the premium of the range. Okay, so indeed, as you see, we are above the 50%, so that means we've mitigated the premium of the range, and so it's likely that if the bearish trend is to continue, then around this area, okay, would be where we expect to see price pushing lower. However, it's likely as well that we do have the extreme of this range. Okay, so I'm just going to mark it like that. I'm going to mark that. So it is possible price could still push up to mitigate the extreme before we start to see it continue with the trend. Or because this is the pullback on all time frames, daily has broken structure to the downside, 4-hour has broken structure to the downside, 15-minute is also broken structure to the downside. So this could be the beginnings of that pullback, deeper pullback on the higher time frames as well. So that means we can then start to anticipate a bullish bias. So as of what I may be looking at today, so we already have the internal is bullish, there's no doubt. We've mitigated this area where we've had a strong reaction from it. Okay, so price did mitigate that area, and then we've had a reaction, breaking this internal structure as well. However, within this range, okay, so this was our last internal break of structure, so let me mark that as my internal substructure. So with that break right there, and then this becomes my internal strong low, that becomes our external strong low, and then with this internal strong low, that becomes this. This is now the range that we are playing in. Okay, so we mitigated that extreme, that supply, and then we see price push down, and then this is discount of the range. And so if this internal trend is going to continue, we have prices mitigated this area. Okay, prices mitigated this area right here. However, we have no there's no liquidity that's been taken really. So my anticipation would be let's see. My anticipation is, if I'm going to continue looking for bullish price action, then this becomes a 15-minute structural low that I'll be waiting to see get taken. Okay, that I'll be waiting to see get taken. So if we get a reaction, so that means my anticipation right now would be maybe price will continue, will drop, price will drop, sweep these areas, mitigate one more time, have a deeper mitigation into this area, and then once that happens, then I can confidently start to look for longs. Okay, so we had our break of structure right there. This has been another sweep, and then price has been stalling, and now we can start to see a bit of reaction to the upside. So that will be my expectation for Euro USD. And then of course, if we are in this internal bullish trend, then that means that this high becomes a weak sub-internal high. So that could easily become a target where we expect price to reach. Okay, so that would be my trade idea for the Euro USD. So let's look at GU, starting on the 4H. So GU 4H, we are the internal is bearish. All right, so we had our swing, which was bullish, and then so swing has now switched bearish. So our swing and internal, they're both bearish. Okay, and the immediate push is this one, which is the internal. So we did have this slight break of structure mitigating into this demand area, and then we're seeing a bit of reaction. So it is likely that price could indeed push maybe up to these highs, maybe fill this imbalance at the top. Who knows? So let's look at the 15-minute. From an intraday perspective, what we can expect. So we're still bearish. Okay, so we're still bearish. We can see so this internal range, this is the internal range that we're in. This is the internal range that we're in. So within this range, price indeed pulled back. Okay, so this is that pullback, and then around this area, this was the decisional that led to the break of structure. That didn't complete the objective, so we can expect that price might continue with this internal trend. Okay, possibly maybe until it reaches this extreme. So we could expect price to continue maybe until it mitigates this extreme. So looking at our intraday structure, what we can expect, or at least what I might be anticipating to see happening, is so we have relative equal lows. We have relative equal lows right here. We have relative equal lows right there. So because we have these relative equal lows, we do expect price to run these at some point. Okay, we do expect price to run these at some point. However, right now the momentum may have shifted to being bullish. Okay, momentum may have shifted to being bullish. So we did have a sweep, and then we see price pushing lower, and then this was our internal or sub-internal break of structure, and then after that break of structure, this was the push, and then that means so see, price did break structure right there, so this becomes the strong low, and then this becomes the weak high. So now we are inside that range. So ideally ideally it would be nice to see price would come back maybe into some of these areas. Okay, if not, just to sweep this area, just to sweep these lows. Okay, just to sweep these lows before it continues. But because we have these relative equal lows at the bottom, ideally you'd want to see those taken as well. Okay, and then see price react and maybe continue to the upside, targeting this high. Okay, so those have been my trade ideas for the day. Today, those have been my trade ideas. Okay, so like I said last week, I'm working on a product which I think will add value. So for everyone who wants to also have access to New York pre-session. Okay, so if you like these trade ideas and you're seeing value in them, you can also support me by clicking on the links that I'll be posting on the channel. So look out for those links, and then yeah, so support me and we'll keep growing together. All right, so other than that, have a great day, and Working Trader out.